Okay, so this is part one of four videos that you will be able to use to prepare yourself for the mock exam for product design. Okay, so let's move forward. Okay, so the first question, you'll be presented with some imagery, which is actually very much like this, or pictograms of the 2014 Commonwealth Games. And you are expected to use these pictograms in your design work. You are to design packaging for this insulated mug. This is the specification, which is, remember, a specification is a list of requirements. So you are expected to use this on your packaging design. So you expect it to somehow show on there um, the fact that there's the packaging, or sorry, the product can hold 400 milliliters of liquid, and this is the dimensions that you should mention when you are drawing your packaging. Also, the fact that it's made from polypropylene and stainless steel is a selling point which should be mentioned on the packaging as well. And the fact that it can also be it's dishwasher safe is also a crucial selling point which should be shown on the packaging as well. And the fact that it has a main feature which means that it can be sealed, it has a sealable lid to keep the heat in, should also be emphasized in your packaging. So let's move forward now and let's have a look at the first question that you'll be presented with. So the first question which you'll be presented with, which you need to answer, is the different methods that you could use as a designer to find out more about the products that you're designing. So one of the first things you would possibly use would be a questionnaire. So questionnaire would usually come in the form of a multiple choice, where you shade in the answers. Usually comes in a post, and can cover many different types of people with different jobs, backgrounds, ethnicities, even where you live in the part of a country or part of the world, and so on. A survey is also very similar. Surveys will also be sent through the post. They cover a smaller section of whatever you're trying to research, and once again, it will be targeted towards people with different jobs, backgrounds, and ethnicities, and so on. Testing, well, this is product testing or user testing, where you have a focus group maybe in a room, and then you provide a range of products or that particular product to the focus group, and then they would actually play around with it, work out how it works and so on, and give back an opinion as consumers of that particular product, so that the designers can use that information to improve or to enhance the design. And then another method that can be used as well is to look at sales um, over a period of a year, maybe a few months and so on, or a quarter of a year, and then to see whether or not the product is selling well. If a particular product in the range is selling well, then maybe the designers can work out the reasons as to why that is. And then, last but not least, this is what we call a longitudinal study. This is a very long-term type of study where you would look at sales, look at questionnaires over time, look at consumer buying habits for a particular product, and then use that information to make an informed decision about how to proceed with a new development of the product, or how the products could be improved and so on. So there's many ways in which you could research to gather information from users and buyers. So to summarize, questionnaires, surveys, testing, sales, longitudinal studies, any of these will get you the marks for question 1A. Okay, let's move on to the next page. So after you've answered question 1A, you will then be provided with a question which will ask you, or a range of requirements. This is a design brief, so it's a very short description of what you need to design, and you need to read this very carefully. I'm going to highlight certain key things in here, so let me just get the highlighter up. Okay, so for example, it says sketch a design for packaging. So definitely you need to sketch some kind of packaging mug. So it needs to hold the insulated mug, and then marks will be given for the following. It needs to be creative, um, solution. It needs to promote the unique sporting event, which is the Commonwealth Games. You also need to show some construction techniques for the packaging. Okay, so you need to show how you would actually build or make that product or make the packaging, and obviously you need to talk about die cutting, and then how you intend to protect the mug during transportation and storage before someone buys it. So purchase means to buy, okay, and then the information for the customer, okay, needs to be and it needs to be shown. Um, the customer and the end user. So the customer is the person who buys it, and the end user is someone who might be totally different. Okay, and the product specification, okay, and features and dimensions need to also be shown on the packaging. And if you remember, if we go back, you shall see that all that information has been provided for you over here. So this information, all of this, all this information here, you need to make sure that this appears somewhere on the packaging. Now, if you look carefully, there are symbols, for example, for volume. So you would need to find out the symbol for volume to go on packaging. You would possibly need, maybe there is a dishwasher safe symbol as well, so you could use that as well on your design. So let's go back now and let's have a look at how we could proceed with this design. So this is an example of a typical type of packaging. I would recommend that you avoid this kind of packaging, although this is what the examiner is looking for. It's looking for a development showing how the packaging folds together to create a 3D box. Let's look at some other examples over here. So if you look here now, oops, sorry, now to here, that's taken the wrong place. So if we look at this one now, okay, this is an example of of uh, of packaging. Okay, so you can see you could use any one of these as a solution, as the basis for your package design. Obviously, you will need to change the information that goes on the outside of your packaging. Now, let's take a step back and have a look at this over here. So, packaging needs to protect, store, identify the product. So, you need to design some interesting logo or some information to go on the packaging. You need to show how you're going to protect it during transportation. If you just annotate or add notes, okay, show how it could be stacked up as well. Have information showing. So all these things need to be on the outside of the packaging. And let's just go back now. So, right, so here, these are different example solutions. So with this one here, all it would be is just the bottom part, and then the mug would sit in on the top. This one here would be that the mug goes inside. You might want to redesign this and put like a window here, possibly, and on the outside you might want to put a barcode, information about the volume, the fact that it's made from polypropylene. So you might want to have the recycling symbol for polypropylene on the packaging as well. Okay, you might want to annotate and explain how this is going to protect the product during transportation and when it's actually stored in the stores, like in the shop and so on. Now have a look at these as well, so you can see this is how a designer, a professional designer, solved the problem. Okay, so they've only used a very few amount of colors to save money, because the more colors you use, the more expensive the printing costs are. So you can see here they've used colors which are harmonious and complementary, but also colors which would probably are appropriate for that particular design. So you need to think about the kind of colors you could use for that to promote the mug. Okay, so let's move on now. So this is an example of a design ideas page, how you could draw your initial design idea. Now, you could draw it in 3D like this with lots of annotation to explain the details. Remember to use the specification to help you to make notes, so you can make notes about why it's going to protect the product. You can make notes about where you're going to have the information. You can have notes about how it's going to be stacked and so on. You can have information about how to construct it and so on. So let's take a step back and have a look once again at what I'm talking about. So this should drive you. These keywords should drive what you write and you annotate your design ideas. Let's step forward again. So look at some other examples. So in here now, okay, so I've got another example of a design ideas page. Okay, all you need to do is maybe just sketch two ideas, and that probably will suffice in the short space of time that you've got. It's 15 marks. Okay, um, let's take a step back now at construction. So to construct any type of packaging nowadays, you use a process called die cutting. So this is the die. Okay, in between these red bits, which are made of neoprene or sponge. Okay, to absorb the shock of pushing it down. It's a bit like a like a very giant cookie cutter, but you use it to cut card. And in between these red parts is some steel, some hardened steel, which have been sharpened so that they punch through and cut out the outline of the packaging. Okay, so cut out the outline of the packaging. So this one here is a Christmas tree one. This is like for another normal kind of packaging. This is the die cut, the actual cutting edge. This is the sponge that goes around. These are the tools to insert the cutting edge into these parts here. This will be cut by a laser cutter. This is like a stack of die cut packaging here. So I would recommend that you talk about die cutting as a process that you use to make packaging. Okay, um, so that would be how you would go about answering the first question. And then for paper production, in the presentation that I have, you can download this and watch this. Okay, so this is to answer question 1C. This will give you all the information that you need to answer question 1C, which is about how to make paper. Okay, so this is end of part one. Okay, I'll record the next one very soon, and we'll continue with the instruction on how to answer the paper.